podcast from the Coker Group that focuses on solutions to help healthcare organizations effectively navigate the changing healthcare industry landscape.
Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Coker. We appreciate you listening. We're going to jump into a episode that I really enjoyed doing. We're bringing in a new guest, and I'm going to tell you about him in just a second. Before I do that, as always, I like to cover a couple of housekeeping items. Again, we thank you all for listening and would invite you to check out our other episodes. You can find all of our Coffee with Coker episodes at coffeewithcoker.com. You can subscribe to the podcast on all standard platforms, but you can also subscribe to all of the Coker's content. And we put out content weekly, whether it's articles or white papers or podcasts, whatever it may be, that has a lot of good thought leadership resources for our audience out there. So you can do that again at coffeewithcoker.com. You can go to cokergroup.com and find our all of our insights and articles, etc. there. So we thank you guys for tuning in once again. And today's guest is actually a representative of one of Coker's clients. And he was gracious enough to join us and talk to us a little bit about how they've navigated things since he took on the role as board chairman of Regional Medical Center in Orangeburg, South Carolina. His name is Dr. Richburg. And Dr. Richburg is just a pleasure to speak with and has literally a extensive experience and knowledge. And he brings to the RMC board really unique perspective and experience. So just a little bit about Dr. Richburg. He's actually a doctor. He's a reverend. He received a master's and doctorate in theology and ministry. But he also spent 30 years in the corporate world, and he has really had a unique experience both as a reverend, as you can imagine, but also in the corporate world for 30 years. And in addition to that, he served a number of years in the military. So he brings a lot of experience there as an officer. In January of 2020, he took on the role as board chairman, and he embarked on a very unique time to be taken on that role right before the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. And they have, again, had to deal with a number of things, as every hospital across the country of all sizes have had to do, navigating through COVID, navigating the impact of shutdowns and health crisis and those types of things. And Dr. Richburg speaks to that in our brief interview, which I greatly appreciate. And he speaks to the fact that they are a rural medical center in a rural part of South Carolina. And so again, there's unique experiences and situations they've had to deal with there as a result of that, in addition to COVID. So I'll leave it there. Again, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Dr. Richburg. He is a treasure trove of just invaluable information and experiences, and hope you get value from this brief interview. And if you have questions or would like to hear more, we invite you to reach out to us. Again, thanks for listening, and enjoy this interview with Dr. Richburg. It's a pleasure to have Dr. Richburg with us today. Welcome, Dr. Richburg. Thanks for joining us.
Well, we're delighted to be here, and this is I'll tell you, it's been a journey. Your organization has been a remarkable asset to this journey in assisting. So glad we can have these moments to share and exchange.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate you saying that, and I really just wanted to talk with you about some of your experience, and as board chairman of a hospital system. It's I know you see a lot, have to deal with a lot, and a lot of different things cross your desk every day, I'm sure. But before we jump in, maybe just give us a quick kind of what you do, your background, a little bit about you.
Well, I was in corporate marketing and sales for 30 years with a company by the name of Air Products and Chemicals, which is based out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And we dealt primarily with cryogenic gases, processed chemicals, and all of those cryogenic gases that's on the periodic chart. They're used for various applications in different industries. And of course, while I did that, I pastored. Believe it or not, I was remarkably blessed. I was able to pastor large houses and do that work because it was all about productivity, to be honest with you. So from there, and previous to that, of course, I was an officer in the military, and now I'm full-time pastoring, and I apply a lot of those what you might call the experientials I extrapolated from that of what you might call being with Air Products for those 30 years and really having some excellent training with the consultants that the corporation brought in just to keep polishing us. But that's where we are right now. And here we're pastoring and trying to chair that board of trustees at RMC in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, it is interesting. That's why I wanted you to give that intro, because you do have such a, I think, unique background, both from the military experience side, from the corporate experience side, and then what you've done as a reverend and applying, I'm sure, many of those different lessons and experiences, as you said, to what's going on with Regional Medical Center. Which I would love to hear more about that. What are some of the things that have been going on, or some of the things, key events that you've been encountering as in your tenure there as the board chairman?
Well, there are a number of things. No one thing in particular. Of course, as you chair a board, and when you look at the board matrix, when you look at the makeup, persons comes from various disciplines, experientials, and of course, such as applied in serving on the board. However, serving in the healthcare industry is somewhat different. Application of business practices are basically the same, but here we're dealing with the healthcare industry. A large challenge, a major challenge, I should say, that I experienced was that of as persons populated the board, many of them did not come with what you might call a business backdrop of business experientials, and it made it a little challenging. The challenge of reading a balance sheet, if you will, and knowing what numbers to look for, knowing exactly what to look for, and knowing where the red flags are, and then getting the members of the board to what I wish to call think way out of the box and look at it from a weighty business perspective and not looking at trying to manage a hospital day-to-day operation. So it's a combination of things, believe it or not. I mean, we got through it, but it's been a challenge.
What are some of the kind of lessons learned or the key takeaways is how you approach dealing with some of those challenges or some of those ongoing things that are just unique to the healthcare industry?
Well, what I applied was similar to what I did when I was with the corporation and I managed. And that is when individuals had challenges or had difficulty comprehending, the industry and the like, I would have a whole lot of one-on-ones, if you will. A lot of one-on-ones, a lot of sit-down one-on-ones, whether it was, at a chow experience, breaking bread together, and then trying as much as I possibly could to help this person kind of see the direction by which we headed in. And for the most part, it worked. Rather than trying to do it with the committee as a whole, and you got 17 people sitting around the table. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I know from our experience working with hospitals similar to RMC all over, there's there are a lot of constituencies involved and different groups and folks from the clinical background, folks on the business side, folks in the community, and or the community as a whole, I guess.
Mhm.
What are some of the? I'm curious as far as when you think about some of those different constituencies. Any key things that you've experienced, for instance, working with a medical staff? I mean, that's something that is you don't have that in any other industry. What are some of the lessons learned in as far as working with some of these different groups?
Well, working with physicians is altogether a different story. I have two daughters, and both of them are physicians.
Mm.
And they told me, they say, "Hey, Daddy, doctors, they're a different organism, they're a different beast,
Mm.
and simply working with them is a challenge in and by itself. That's nothing negative.
Right.
It just comes with them being in that particular discipline.
Mm.
It's for the most part, working with our physicians, much of that is done by our VP of Physician Services, as you very well know.
Mm-hmm.
At this point at RMC, we have an excellent person who's managing that part of the overall portfolio. And quite honestly, the physicians at RMC right now is plenty pleased with her, who's doing a great job. According to physicians who's been with the organization 20 plus years, she's the best they've had by way of relationship, if you follow what I'm trying to say. So,
Sure.
so we have our communication primarily has been through Sabrina and i.e. President CEO. And here recently it has gone exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. Yeah.
What tell me a little bit about maybe the last year or two at RMC, some of the things that you've had going on, because you guys have done some remarkable things. I mean, just I think there within our firm, we talk about you guys a lot very favorably, just because what you guys have done, not only the normal, just standard challenges of running a hospital system, but then you add on a pandemic and the issues that have come with that. Just talk to us a little bit about how you guys have been navigating through all this the last year or two.
It's been an overwhelming challenge. However, along with that, we were fortunate. We had the Coker Group. We've had relationships with them years previous, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, with the onslaught of COVID and of course the change in senior management, it wasn't that difficult for us to go back and say, "Hey, listen, let us re-engage Coker." We've had excellent experience with them. They performed exceptionally well and understand the industry exceptionally well. So that's been a saving grace, if you want to call it that. I think as we entered COVID and then entering COVID, being in COVID, having the need to change senior leadership, if you will, at the top of the helm, and dealing with county council at the same time, and their ability or inability, if you will, to understand why in the world you're making such a change in the middle of a pandemic rather. It's I was before the firing squad on several occasions with county council, but we navigated through it. And again, I highly compliment the group, the Coker group, and how Max and others came in and the team came in. And how they helped us with the navigation, with processing some of the major challenges that we had, because what they were doing was pulling from the experientials that they'd seen in the industry. In many instances, it's the same drama, just different actors.
Sure.
But you experience a lot of the same drama. Yes.
Sure. Well, we certainly appreciate you saying that, but I think it's also really how you guys have navigated this is a testament to yours and others' leadership there. As we kind of bring this full circle, I'm curious, what are the plans for RMC in the next 2022, even and beyond?
Well, intent, I would like to, as you very well know, the Regional Medical Center is a standalone facility.
Right.
It's a rural facility. It services primarily a rural community, the Tri-County area, as it's called, and of course Orangeburg County being the largest county in that rural setting. I wish to see RMC as a state-of-the-art facility that provides quality health care and at the same time can be a model for other healthcare entities across the country, particularly those that are in rural settings. And being in those rural settings, they are surrounded by other healthcare systems, if you will. So I see RMC being that model, but at the same time, a part of the challenge, and I think we're coming along quite well with that, is populating the organization with the right senior leadership team. Okay, and I think your organization again has done a great job in helping us do that. The persons that we brought on board has been an excellent fit. They've aligned exceptionally well. The assimilation is good. I think they have an appreciation of the culture, of the challenges. So in that regard, things are going exceptionally well. Looking at, this is 21, looking at 22, I think things will continuously get better. There are always the challenges of economics, if you will. That's always a challenge.
Sure.
But nevertheless, we have a very strong chief financial officer, along with a strong president, CEO. And I think a very healthy, functioning board of directors or trustees, whichever you prefer to call them. A combination like that, we can do some good things. Yeah.
Well, that's really great to hear, and I would certainly agree with that, knowing what I know about the organization and the leadership there. So we really appreciate you just spending a few minutes with us, telling us a little bit more about what you've been working on and some of the challenges you all have had to navigate through. We really have always enjoy working with you and your team and the new folks that are there now in those leadership positions. So we definitely wish you guys all the best to the remainder of 21 and all the success going forward after that.
Well, thanks a lot, and I'm very appreciative that you gave thought of having an audience such as this, so that we can pretty much share with you where we are, where we were, and our path forward.
Yes, sir. Well, no, the pleasure is definitely ours. So again, thank you, and we look forward to continuing the conversation in the future.
We'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks kindly. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Coffee with Coker, and we thank you for listening. We want to encourage all of our listeners to participate and contribute in the podcast. So if you have any questions on any of the things we discussed in this episode, any of the topics that were presented, please feel free to ask us. Also, we welcome your feedback and suggestions. If you have any ideas related to the material we discussed in this episode, or in any episode, please let us know and we'll make sure to incorporate it. And if you have ideas for topics you'd like to hear more information about in future episodes, please send those suggestions to us. We would love to hear them, and we'd love to incorporate them into our future episodes. You can find us online and on social media. Start with our website, and specifically the podcast is coffeewithcoker.com. You can also find that through the main Coker website at cokergroup.com. You can also find us on social media, Twitter at Coker Group, and then on LinkedIn, you can search for Coker Group and find our page and the page for some of our team members as well there. So you can find us and reach out to us a number of places. And then if you want to contact us directly, one of the best ways to do that, email feedback@cokergroup.com. That's feedback@cokergroup.com. And again, we'd love to get your feedback, and we'd love to encourage everyone to subscribe to the podcast so that you can be notified when future episodes are released. We look forward to the next episode, and we look forward to getting your suggestions and feedback on this episode. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to speaking with you again on future episodes.